Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. We are here this evening with Act 2 of a trilogy here on the channel. This is called All the Little Things. This is going to be using a game system called Household, where it's kind of the story of littlings, which are similar to The Borrowers or Honey, I Shrunk the Kids or a video game like Grounded. Little tiny folk who live in an abandoned house, and their entire world is kind of encompassed within the walls of this house. So we've played Act 1 already. Tonight will be the second part of this game. I'm very, very excited to be getting back to this. It's been some time since we managed to sit down together and play. We will also be having another character joining us this evening, so I'm really, really excited about getting back to this story. But before we do, I'm going to give the same warning that I give on the beginning of all of my games, and that is if foul language and mature subject matter are problems for you, then you shouldn't be on my channel at all. There's nothing that you will find here that will not offend your sensibilities, so take them elsewhere. But if you have no sensibilities, like myself, then welcome. You're in the right place. So, yeah, I'm going to pass things over to my players so that they can introduce themselves, say what they've got going on, where you may be able to find them on the internet, and then I think we can go ahead and get started. We're going to start with the new player this evening. Over to my left, no, right on the screen, Jake.
Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and that is where you can find me when I'm not over here on Erasmus Expeditions. Mini Terrain Domain on Twitch is where we run. Oh, we run some Pathfinder, we run some D&D, we run some Call of Cthulhu, and you can see Jeremy over there on Thursday nights for our Welcome to Paradise, Michigan Kids on Bikes game. I also have all of my games up on YouTube at youtube.com/mini-terrain-domain. And we like to get involved in doing charity fundraising games and things like that. There's a pretty awesome celebrity D&D game you can catch on the YouTube right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That game was tremendous. I mean, all the games that you run are tremendous, but not that you ran that game, but you know what I mean. It was quite an experience to even just be a small part of the moderating team and witness everything that went on that evening. It was an absolutely spectacular event, and I'm still blown away by it. All right, speaking of still blown away by, next up is Karen.
Hi everyone, I'm Karen, also known as Myth and Gears, and if I'm not here on this channel, then I'm over at Mini Terrain Domain on Jake's channel. My channel is silent, so don't go there. Can't wait to jump back into this game. Looking forward to it. It was so much fun last time. I'm so glad that Jake's here this time and we get to meet his character and all the wackiness that's going to bring. So cannot wait for this. Thank you. Back to you.
Always, always, always good to have you, Karen. And I'll see you again on Sunday. So, but yeah, yeah, I'm really excited with how we left things off in this game, in particular. I think things are going to be pretty exciting. I'm hoping. I know they will be. Who am I kidding? All right. Speaking of exciting things, next up is Sarah. Sarah in below Karen.
I don't like. No, not exciting. Hi everybody. I'm known as Alice Xan in most places, but when you get to know me, I'm Sarah. Hi. I love being on Jeremy's channel. It's a lot of fun. I love being invited and playing with all these awesome people that we've got here tonight. You can find me on AC or Sin's Twitch channel, twitch.tv/AC I play a game every Sunday morning. We've moved it back to 10:30 is our start time now. 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sundays. Hijinks for All is the game that we play over there. I play a fun little Circle the Wildfire Druid over there. And then every other Tuesday, you can catch me on Mini Terrain Domain. Actually, hold on, where is it going? That way, up in Jake's channel. Every other Tuesday for our Sky Metal Iron Gods game. How it's funny that we all died and now we have new characters. I stream a little bit on my own Twitch channel, twitch.tv/AliceXAnn. I do a lot of Phasmophobia on there, but I have been running a Call of Cthulhu game on there too every other week. So if you want to catch it, it's every other Friday at about 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'm just happy to be back here. I'm so excited to get back into this. I can't wait to see what happens. So I guess back to you, Jeremy.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, anybody who mentions a channel, you should be able to find the link to that in the description of the video down below here. And if you don't, please just drop a comment and I will rectify that as soon as I can. Yeah, I've had the pleasure to run quite a few games for you now. I'm building up the collection. So, and I know in a little...
I love it. Thank you so
weeks.
much for having me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think in 2 weeks we get to finish up our Fiasco game, which is a blast.
The game that I'm gonna cry. Yes.
Or die, or both. Maybe.
There's a part of me hoping both.
Anything's possible in that game.
I do not expect to survive that game.
I don't know who my character might, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, that game has also been fantastic. So I'm excited to get back to that one as well. All right. Speaking of excited to get back to somebody who was just on the channel earlier this week, Nathan, welcome back.
Thanks for having me back. We had a great game Tuesday. We went like at least an hour longer than originally planned.
Yeah,
because we had about right. So much good RP and just kind of building the world and connecting our characters. It was a lot of fun though. I'm very happy and excited to be back in Caldera, and I wish it wasn't a monthly game because I don't want to wait a whole month to play again. I talked my my coworker's ear off. I deliver appliances for Best Buy, so I'm in a truck with one other guy like all day long.
Oh no!
So I talked his ear off almost all day about that game Tuesday night when I went in Wednesday. So that was he probably enjoyed that. Thankfully, he's a D&D nerd too, so okay. It's not completely lost on him. But yeah, I'm Dimension 119. It's where you can find me on basically all the socials. If you can't find me by searching Dimension 119, throw an underscore between Dimension and 119. There's an underscore on one of the names somewhere on one of the platforms. I can't remember which one. I play a myriad of different video games on the Twitch channel. We have a Adventures in Middle-earth game that we do every other Wednesday night. Which we almost lost the entire party last Wednesday, so that was fun. Adventures in Middle-earth is quite a brutal system if you're not careful, especially when you have our lore master running it. I'm on a few other channels for some D&D games, and I do survival games sometimes on Thursday nights on the channel. I have another buddy of mine that is playing through Baldur's Gate with me Friday nights and Sunday nights. We're going to get back to our Friday night, Sunday night schedule next week. It's very much chaos. Dumpgraw, I love him to death. It's a great person to play with. I love playing games with him and hanging out with him. But he's just the Lord of Chaos in Baldur's Gate. We went from being a party that was not going to murder hobo to murder hoboing everything. Anytime he's in dialogue, I'm like, we're probably getting in a fight. This is probably going to end in a fight. But it's been fun. It's led to some really interesting options because I'm playing a solo campaign off stream, and it's just a completely different game. I'm enjoying that so much.
Fantastic, man. Yeah, I was late to the game, but have been playing a lot of it lately. It's a ton of fun. And yeah, always a pleasure to have you back on the channel, Nathan. So welcome back. I'm glad that you were able to join us tonight, that you're not hurting too bad. So hopefully we can not push it too far.
I should probably say that if I'm quieter than usual, guys, it's nothing against you. I had a tooth pulled at 10 o'clock this morning. So I'm just
you're a trooper.
I haven't had much pain today. Look, I've had less pain today than I've had in the few weeks leading up to this. So
Yeah,
I'm happy right now, but we're gonna give it a shot. And you don't miss a Jeremy game if you can help it.
I appreciate that, man. We'll keep an eye out for the Eastern time zone snoozes, as they creep up on you.
Hey man, I don't have to work tomorrow now because of it. So
there you go.
Good.
Hell yeah. All right. Last but most certainly not least, my sister from the same mother, Sarah. You're muted. You're muted, Sarah. I don't know. Can you hear me? She is actually professionally a mime. I don't know if anybody knows this. She's very good at her job, though. You're still muted, though. I don't know if she can't hear me. Uh-oh. Oh, there she goes. I think I saw the... Can you...
Oh, my God. This
there
whole time talking,
yep.
Lord have mercy. That's all you need to know about me. That's me, Jeremy's little sister.
The tech whiz. That's
yeah. I blame it on my mom. It's her fault.
Yeah. If it wasn't the fact that I did this as often as I do, I would be in the exact same boat. And even still, anybody who knows me, anybody who watches my games knows that it's not a Jeremy game unless there's some kind of tech issue that goes on. So, okay, yeah. Do you want to say anything about where people can find you, what you got going on, anything like that?
Oh, that's what I was saying. I'm a ghost on social media. Don't find me.
Perfectly fine answer. No problems. Well, I'm happy that you're here. I'm glad that you're playing this.
No,
game.
I'm teasing it. I'm just saying it. I don't have a channel or any of that stuff. So.
Yeah, no worries. The only people that have channels are nerds, so you're fine.
No lies detected.
I was about to say.
Proof. Okay. Everybody ready? Get this started. Let's do this. Dearest readers, it is known that the second act of any story is always the darkest part. The chapters where the mettle of our heroes and heroines will be tested most dramatically, where the difficulties of the external challenges may be rivaled only by those that originate from within. As the author presenting this tale to you, I must beseech you to not turn away during this, our darkest hour together. Steady thy nerves and steel your disposition, for ours is not a tragic tale, but one of triumph and hope. After all, littlings are creatures who above all else know best how to do one thing: to carry on. The city of Downridge is a constant bustle of activity. Its taverns and public houses bursting at their seams, while the streets are filled with countless hunters petitioning to be hired as guides. Situated on the last two steps of the Great Stairs, it is a hub seemingly dedicated to transitory life and its many trades. You can see bales of down feathers, bushels of herb leaves, and mountains of sugar cubes being loaded into wagons everywhere you look. You have come as a part of a wedding party, courtesy of one Mr. Osman Brummell, the groom-to-be. He has procured lodging for those of you who are traveling with him at the Humidor Hotel, an establishment that has been carved into a cedar cigar box. That is where we begin Act 2. At the Humidor Hotel, where Mr. Brummell is supposed to be meeting Dr. Mercer Alexis Meredith. Who do we see waiting to meet with Mr. Brummell? What are you currently doing, Dr. Meredith?
Just for clarification, you said we're in this like tavern sort of meeting place kind of thing.
That's where we were supposed to meet in a hotel,
Oh,
which
the
will
hotel.
have like a little drinking space or something.
You see an older man who is a combination of thin and tall that makes him look like a shorter, squatter man was just stretched. His proportions seem almost too thin, almost too tall. His nose and ears slightly larger than they should be proportionately for his head. Oddly, though, the glasses he wears perched upon his nose seem almost too small for his face. Hair is mostly gray, but there's definitely streaks of red in there still. And the way his hair flows back and up, it almost looks, especially when he moves his head around, it almost looks like the flame at the end of a matchstick. As he is sitting there waiting to meet with the groom, he looks he looks uncomfortable in the sense that he's out of his element. And what would you say is the fanciness level of this hotel?
So, Downridge does not have anything that would be what would be considered to be upper crust. But I would say that the Humidor Hotel is probably the finest establishment here in Downridge. Now, for overall aesthetics throughout the household, it's probably just above moderate lodging.
Okay, so it's slightly beneath me. You see that whatever glass has been placed before me with whatever drink, that I pull out a handkerchief and sort of wipe down the outside of it before even touching it with my fingers, giving it a little extra wipe down around the rim before I take a sip, looking around, waiting for this person I'm supposed to meet.
It's a few minutes past the time when you were supposed to meet. And you hear Mr. Brummell before you see him. He sounds as though he may be having some difficulty with someone in the hotel's employee. Listen, I booked 6 rooms, so I need 6 rooms. 4 will make it impossible. And the other person kind of shrugs, says, sorry, there's nothing I can do about it. We're all booked up other than the 4 that we've got. You can take it or you can leave it. Mr. Brummell kind of bristles, his wings kind of shimmering as they shake a little, tucked behind him, kind of mimicking the shape of his tails of his coat. I will write about this. It will be known that the Humidor Hotel is subpar. And he turns around and kind of hots himself away, and almost like passes right by you, Dr. Meredith. Before he stops, Dr. Meredith, forgive me, Mr. Brummell, You were expecting to meet me here?
Ah, yes, Mr. Brummell. It is, well, and I pull out a pocket watch. Well, it is past due that we should have been meeting, but better you are here late than not
Yes.
at all, I suppose.
Forgive me, I've been, well, I won't make excuses. Pardon my tardiness. He kind of halfway bends at the waist.
It is already forgotten.
Might I join you?
It would not be a meeting without you joining me. So, yes, please do.
He turns and he sits in the chair that's kind of opposite the the small side table or whatever that is beside your chair. I'm almost picturing like a like a gentleman's lounge from like the Victorian era. These kind of like large leather back chairs that are kind of seated with these tables in between them. He will sit himself and order a drink. He says, just whatever he is having, please. Well, so, Mr. Dr. Meredith, how long have you been in Downridge?
Well, if it's been more than 3 days, it seems like a lifetime. And that is not a compliment. I'm not I'm not accustomed to being down quite so far, if you catch my meaning. But nonetheless, I am here for my presence has been requested. And I am nothing if not a scholar, a gentleman, and a doctor who honors the requests for his presence.
Yes, and I am certain that Lady de Colletta will be most enthused that you will be present for the wedding. She has spoken very highly of you.
I am to be spoken very highly of, so that is quite well.
Well, there are a few others of our party. I believe they went to fetch themselves some dinner of some kind. The guide had chosen some place for them to eat, though, to be fair, he's a little, well, he's a rough sort, I'm afraid.
Well, I've come to expect that. From here, no offense intended.
Oh, no. Downridge is not my home, sir. No offense taken.
Very well. I must apologize for not having arrived with the party as had originally been intended. It appears as though believe it or not, there are other groups that are organizing similar forays throughout the household.
Is that
You
so?
would not believe I spent 4 days with a group of individuals who I thought for sure were the ones that I was supposed to be with. But let me tell you, the places that they took me, I am relieved that I was in the wrong place. And when we crossed here to the humidor, and I realized that this was my opportunity, I gave them the slip. I don't think that they will notice. They are not the brightest of individuals. Nonetheless, as I said, better late than not here at all, and thus I am here.
Indeed, it sounds like you've had quite the adventure as well. We came down to the Bannister caravan just yesterday. We finished our journey, and we were almost set upon by wasps.
Oh dear. Nobody was stung, I hope.
Oh, no, thankfully we avoided them. That much I will attest to our guide's capabilities. He seems a rather capable fellow, if he is rough around the edges.
Well, I should hope that you would avoid things such as wasp stings and other sorts of bites and maladies without your doctor present.
Well, at any rate, we should be heading out in the morning, so I am happy to say that your stay here in Downridge is coming to an end, sir.
And I must tell you, Mr. Bromley, that is probably the best news that I've heard in the last 5 days.
Wonderful.
I will raise my glass
and he'll
in
meet
a half salute.
and drink with you. And we will cut at that point over to across the city, across the town of Downridge, to join the other four of you and Tatiana Azalea, the renowned performer who has traveled with you thus far. But at the moment that you kind of were situated here at Penelope's, this literal hole-in-the-wall restaurant that Ronan has brought you to, she was kind of brisked aside by another performer named Vispa, who seems to be kind of talking to her in low tones off to the side. It seems like they have known each other for some time and have much to discuss. However, this is not the only pairing of people who seem to know each other in this place. There is also an individual who both Victoria's sisters seem to know. Felix Ormond. He is a slough? Yes, a slough. Who both of them happen to know. As you look up and see Felix sitting at the table that Vispa has just kind of departed, what is the reaction of this reunion from the both of you?
The first reaction that Cassiani has is her spine immediately goes straighter than it was before, and all color disappears from her face, and a little kind of like a small intake of breath involuntarily kind of happens as she's like completely shocked at who she sees sitting there.
He very quickly stands up from the table. Oh, Miss Victoria, it's wonderful to see you again. I certainly did not expect to find you here in Downridge.
Nor I you. And the tone is as icy probably as Rosalind has ever heard Cassiani speak at this moment.
He comes over to you and he kind of reaches out and grabs a hold of both of your hands in both of his.
I think she, as he tries to grab
okay.
her hands,
Mhm.
yeah, she's going to like kind of jerk her hands back and kind of hold them against her as she takes a step back from him.
Forgive my impertinence.
I have nothing to say to you.
He looks somewhat confused. I don't understand. When last I saw you, your demeanor towards me was entirely different.
I think at this point, Rosalind could probably understand that there's this war going on in Cassiani right now. It's like this. She's furious. She's upset. But she is also trying very hard not to give in to her desires, if you will. There's something smoldering there under the surface that she is trying very hard to keep a lid on because she is so angry at this man in front of her.
kind of
I
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, he kind of sensing this cold shoulder from Cassiani, he kind of casts a look towards you, Rosalind, and there's like a small little smirk that like creeps at the corner of his mouth before he then kind of gives like a slight bow to you. And of course, the younger Miss Victoria. I also did not expect to find you here. The two of you are traveling together?
I imagine, because the way that I remember we came in was that, Rosalind was actually staying pretty close to Ronan because she was excited about basically going to a dive bar. And so Cassiani is probably fairly close to her anyway, but I imagine that the moment she sees Felix, instead of her hand going to like Cassiani to kind of steady her, she instantly reaches and like it's like this death grip on Ronan's coat that she has. And I think Ronan would be able to feel her shaking instantaneously. And when Felix approaches and she sees this like internal struggle that Cassiani is having, and then he turns and he smirks at her. And there's also an internal struggle in her because she's telling herself, don't be stupid. Do not kill him in front of all of these people. Do not get yourself in trouble. I don't think she answers him. I think instead she just turns. She releases Ronan's coat and she just turns and she goes straight outside. I don't think she'll leave right away. She just like goes outside so she is not in the vicinity. And I think she's hyperventilating outside the door.
Okay.
Ronan having no idea what's going on, just kind of feeling Rosalind grab his coat and feeling the shaking, like starts to step in front of her as she releases and walks out. So he's just stepping between where she's walking out and this man is approaching.
And what is Felinia Pine's reaction to any of this? Is she aware that this is going on? And if so,
completely oblivious because Peaches, her bumblebee companion, is buzzing around and she's trying to rein her in. She's actually like interested in what another table has as far as food and drink, because we've been traveling and she's hungry and thirsty, and so I'm trying to keep up with Peaches.
Fair enough. The table next to you that she has buzzed her way over to starts out trying to very politely, oh, she's adorable, and like pet her and stuff, and then realizes that she's like kind of aggressively going after their food and drink, and they're kind of very quickly, she's such a beautiful creature, but like trying to like get the stuff away from her. It's very obvious that Peaches is wearing out her welcome with them.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Felix then turns to Cassiani with again a almost confused, bordering on like wounded, like expression on his face. I don't understand why your sister would be so upset with me.
You don't understand? The gall, the gumption, I can't believe I wasted the 6 months of my life with you.
Cassiani, I don't know what Rosalind told you, but it's clearly been fabricated.
You're calling my sister a liar now.
I would never be so bold as to call her a liar, no, but you know how Sometimes she is jealous of you.
Oh, I think, yeah. Cassiani just kind of pulls her hand back and slaps this man across the face.
It rings in this small little restaurant, and his face is genuinely surprised. If he was feigning confusion before, you have slapped that from his face. He stares and reaches up and touches the side of his face where it's already starting to kind of rise in color. And you see a different expression flash behind his eyes. And he kind of catches himself, clenches his jaw. You can see the sides of his jawline kind of twitching. Well, I would say that it has been a pleasure to see you, Miss Victoria, but I am not a liar.
No, you're a bully and a charlatan and a absolute rake. And I think she'll turn her on her heels and walk briskly out the restaurant after her sister.
Ronan, you're now standing more or less by yourself, kind of in the middle of this hole in the wall, this restaurant, Penelope's. You have eaten at many times before. Now, basically alone.
Ronan looks to the man and just says, I don't know what you did. I don't recommend getting in their way again. And then he's gonna try to find Penelope and settle their bill, and then head out to find Rosalind and Cassiani. Probably trying to probably seeing what's happening with Peaches on the way out, and just shaking his head, not wanting to get involved and trying to wrangle that situation as well.
Penelope is, you can tell that she's a little upset that all of this just happened right in the middle of her restaurant for all of her patrons to see. But she obviously does not understand the full story, and she's not going to comment on it without knowing the full truth. So she settles your bill, and she kind of leans in and says, maybe next time, Ronan, maybe let me know that you're coming if you're bringing friends.
Ronan smiles at Penelope and says, it wouldn't be a true visit of mine if something didn't happen, and just turns on his heel at that and walks towards the door.
And as you turn to go, she hands you a small, what would it be? She hands you a small kernel of corn that has been dried and hollowed, and kind of turned into a little bit of like a canteen, and you can smell pea soup coming from it.
I think that kind of changes his actions. He takes a long smell of this, maybe just barely like opening the top, and just for a second he forgets about everything that just happened, everyone else in this place, and he looks at her and he's like, maybe I will tell you I'm coming next time, as long as you have more pea soup for me.
Suppose we'll see. She kind of like jerks her head towards the door.
I'll try to take care of whatever that situation is. Just keep an eye on, well, I would say the gentleman, but I may be wrong in that statement. And he just nods towards the person he thinks has caused all of this. And if the bee situation is handled, just let our friend know that we've stepped outside.
Oh, she says that she turns around and kind of puts her hands on either side of her head as the bee like knocks something over, like a stand of like dishes or something. She kind of like makes her way over there to try to help get that situation under control. Tatiana will continue to talk to Vispa, though they clearly saw and heard everything that just transpired between the sisters Victoria and Felix. So, Felinia, with the help of Penelope, you're able to get a hold of Peaches and get her a little under control. Felinia brings over something that kind of draws Peach's attention and kind of placates her for the moment, and you're able to kind of get her calm. And you realize that most of your party has stepped outside, and Penelope will tell you, well, they did say to tell you that they were stepping outside if you're looking for them.
Okay, thank you so much. I guess we'll be going now.
Oh, she kind of looks at the bee and then looks at you. Yes, maybe we'll see you again later. Maybe.
Yes, thank you for the meal. Have a good night.
You as well. She kind of flinches as Peaches turns around and her big fuzzy butt like kind of like gets into Penelope's face a little. But you are able to wrangle her back out the door. And for the moment at least, before Tatiana finishes her conversation, the four of you are right out front of Penelope's literally hole in the wall. This small crack in the floorboard, or not the floorboard, the baseboard, beside the stair where Penelope's little wooden sign that has her name scrawled on it is just sitting on the ground, propped up against the wall. What is happening here as we rejoin the sisters and Ronan? Is there additional conversation?
I don't know about additional conversation, but I'm fairly certain Rosalind is like, you know how like people can do like the wall sit where they just kind of like position themselves in a seated position, just leaning against the wall. I'm pretty sure she's kind of like that, and she's just kind of bent in half with her head between her legs, just trying to like calm herself so she doesn't go back in there and murder someone and get in trouble. Her whole body is still pretty shaken up, and I don't think she's talking. Like, even if Cassiani comes over to try and calm her down, I imagine that she's just going to kind of like shrink away from Cassiani. Like, no.
Yeah, I think actually Cassiani kind of sensing, like when she walks out and sensing Rosalind there, she doesn't approach. In fact, she actually probably goes and stands some distance away. And by the time Ronan comes out, Cassiani is just standing still as a board, hands straight at her sides, down, and she is just like staring away from the restaurant, just out into, down the street or whatever, but she's not moving at all, and she's just kind of staring off into the distance.
I think Ronan just exits the restaurant, kind of takes stock of Cassiani and Rosalind before he's very very far away from the door. I imagine he makes a trip past Rosalind. Doesn't ask if she's okay or anything, just kind of like kneels down to where he's like not in her face, but somewhat close where she can hear him and maybe nobody else can. And he just simply says, if you need assistance, just say the word. And he just instantly at that stands up because he sees what you're going through. And he goes and approaches Cassiani. Is everything all right, or is this going to be a problem?
There's kind of like an awkward pause before she says anything or moves or even acknowledges your presence. And the first thing she does, like when she kind of snaps back into herself, is kind of involuntarily she kind of like dabs beneath one eye, and then she's like, everything's fine.
Right. Everything seems right as rain. If there's anything that I can help with in the situation, just let me know.
He's look after my sister for now. Don't think she'll want to see me right now.
I believe I've been tasked to look after all of you, but she's the one in most need now.
Yes.
Focus my attentions there.
Thank you.
Though I don't think I should bother her in the state she's in now. I did see the way she looked at that man, and I don't want to take his place.
At that, she kind of looks at you. I don't think you ever could. You're far too nice.
He actually chuckles at this. I've been called worse many times.
She kind of nods and then again kind of reiterates, like, look after my sister. And I think at this point she's gonna just start to walk away, as if she's heading back towards the humidor.
I think Ronan just goes and takes up a spot on the wall, like a distance from Rosalind, just where that he can be there if there's assistance needed, and he can kind of keep an eye on both the door of the restaurant and her at the same time. I don't think Ronan like does any whittling or anything. Like he doesn't really have anything to do with his hands, so he's probably awkwardly just like trying to find little things, little keys on his coat, or maybe he like removes his hat and he's making sure the teeth and bones that are in his hat are secured properly or whatever. It's quite awkward if anyone's paying too much attention to him.
So yeah, you're kind of sitting there fidgeting, trying to, do something to keep yourself occupied while Rosalind is having a moment trying to collect herself. And Cassiani is walking away. I think Felinia, you exit Penelope's right at that kind of moment. You see Cassiani walking away. You find Rosalind, kind of leaning against the wall, and Ronan is sitting there awkwardly trying to busy himself with his hands.
Okay. I'm going to approach Rosalind and ask her if she needs some Peach's love. Offer some bumblebee snuggles.
I think it's as Felinia comes out of the door. that her breathing finally starts to kind of steady itself. And it's probably as she's asking Rosalind if she wants to cuddle with a bumblebee that she like makes eye contact with her. And for a moment, there's this very like far away look, like she's not really in this present moment right now. And she just stares for a minute before she blinks. I don't want to hurt the it's not a good time for that.
Understood. Absolutely.
Thank you. I do need to leave. I did not mean to ruin whatever was happening here. I need to find a much seedier place and get far drunker than I am right now.
Here, here. I think Felinia wants to return to the humidor as well.
Okay. So Felenia and Peaches kind of head off in the direction that Cassiani is already headed. And eventually, the two of you and the Bumblebee will arrive at the Humidor Hotel. But before you arrive at the Humidor, Rosalind and Ronan, if the intention is to shadow Rosalind, then Rosalind, you would have no problems finding another bar here, another public house that is willing to serve you basically whatever you want to drink.
Yeah. Rosalind's just alcohol will make it better is
Sure.
basically the point she's at right now. I don't think she says anything to Ronan, very much out of she doesn't want to say something she'll regret because she knows she's hot-headed, but also like embarrassed. She's very embarrassed about what just happened. But I think that just like absentmindedly, she's not even going to realize she's doing it. She may like reach back and kind of like scratch at where her wings used to be. Almost like kind of like a phantom limb type thing. And it's like, ooh, that kind of hurts. And you can see like there's a physical pain on her face as they, walk through the streets to find this seedier bar. And even as she walks in and she finds herself a spot, she doesn't talk to anybody. She doesn't talk the entire time.
And I think what we see is Rosalind just like finds one of the next places, just literally one of the one is the shortest walking distance away, ducks inside, and Ronan, there's a small stone that like drops into the pit of your stomach as you see the place that she chooses and walks into. This is like the place where hunters drink. The hunters who are like haunted people. Like there is not a fight, or there's not an evening that goes by in this place that a fight does not happen. And
I think
she's just ducked in and gone inside there.
I think this is what makes Ronan's decision to actually follow her in. Like I don't think he goes to the bar or the table that Rosalind goes to. I think he just kind of goes in, gets a drink, nurses the drink or whatever, positions himself where he can watch most of the people and Rosalind. He's not necessarily trying to keep Rosalind from knowing that like he's watching out for her, but he's also not making it obvious. He fully planned to just wait outside until she came out just to be safe. But seeing the place that she's going in, he's like, this. There's a very good chance this may be a problem.
Oh yeah, we're looking for fights. I think she very obviously knows that Ronan is following her, but I don't think she's making it seem like it's a problem to her. Like, she's just like, whatever, you're gonna follow me because this is what happens when, bad shit happens. My sister thinks that she's looking out for me, and really, she's just giving me a babysitter.
And
So,
I
yeah,
think with that moment of like the oh boy from Ronan seeing like where Rosalind has just walked in, that's where we're gonna cut back over to the Humidor Hotel. Is there anything that that Cassiani is doing before she gets back to the Humidor, or is that where you're headed?
Yeah, she's at this point, like, this is a strange place for her. She doesn't know this area, so her intention is just to straight back to the Humidor and get into her room where she can be alone. Yeah.
Understood. So how many drinks are Mr. Brummell and Dr. Meredith in by the time that Cassiani returns?
Roll a d6, and it came up with a 5, so we're 5 drinks in.
Okay, the ascots have been loosened a little. Like you,
the glasses are slightly askew. And I tell you, hey, if it hadn't been for my quick thinking with a little bit of sinew and a bone needle, why, that man's leg would have fallen clean off.
Well, I dare say that is one of the more absolutely unbelievable stories that I've ever heard.
Well, as I've said,
you did that
being
with
a mail carrier can be quite dangerous.
And with 2 broken hands, no less.
Exactly.
Astounding. Absolutely. I think I'm empty. I need another. These are actually a lot better than I thought they were. He calls over another drink. Do you have another?
The more we drink of them, the better they get.
Indeed. Well, there's Miss Victoria. He kind of like stands out of his chair and like stumbles a little, like realizing that he's probably a little more drunk than he thought he was, and then tries to right himself. Miss Victoria, and he kind of bows a little crookedly towards you, Cassiani, as you kind of re-enter the Humidor. May I introduce Dr. Meredith? And he kind of gestures towards the individual who's seated beside him.
I think Cassiane probably didn't see him right away because she's just kind of focused on escaping. But then when this man kind of stumbles as he gets out of his chair, she does glance that way, and then she realizes it's Mr. Brummell, which is a pleasant sight to see at this point. And she just kind of pauses in her walk towards the rooms, and then I guess almost reluctantly she kind of turns and proceeds towards Mr. Brummell and this Dr. Meredith. And as she approaches, she would kind of give Dr. Meredith like kind of a slight kind of bow, as the upper class would do, and say, "Charmed."
As am I. It is most delightful to make your acquaintance. I believe Mr. Bromley here has introduced myself. Allow me to myself introduce. Dr. Mercer Alexis Meredith. At your service.
Thank you. I am Cassiani Victoria.
Ah, yes. An absolute delight.
Dr. Meredith
Be
was just...
joining us for a drink?
Oh. Yes, please. I can find another chair somewhere around here. He kind of like stumbles off looking for one.
I didn't want to intrude. She
It
tries
is
to
no
say,
in- It is no intrusion whatsoever. Take Bromley's chair. He'll find one for himself. No problem, I'm sure. In fact, take Bromley's drink. He'll also get one for himself. It's already poured. He has not taken from it. Consider it yours.
so she will sit down, kind of again reluctantly. She eyes the glass, but she does not pick it up. It's almost there's like kind of a little kind of a look in her eyes, and then she's like, "No." What brings you here, Dr. Meredith?
Well, I've already spent the remarkable part of the last hour or so explaining in great detail to Mr. Brumley the rather extravagant nature of my journey. I shall not wish to repeat that at fear of losing my voice, and I don't think my liver can take that many more drinks. Suffice it to say, I was supposed to join you a few days ago. I was waylaid, and now I'm here. So I guess you could say it is you that brings me here, in a certain sort of way.
And I think if you weren't as into your cups as you are, you would probably notice that Cassiani is not really paying attention to what you're saying. She's kind of, there's some part of her that's not present. And she's just kind of like nodding in all the right places, though, when you're talking.
I think it's very clear that Dr. Meredith doesn't. Maybe if he wasn't in his cups, he probably wouldn't care anyway. He seems to be, at least at this point, the kind of person who cares less that you're paying attention to him and more that his voice is heard rather than the content of what he is saying.
Yeah. And I think she kind of reads that and she just goes with it and lets you talk. Do all the talking.
There's this like loud like noise is like Mr. Brummell is scooting a chair like across the lobby. He kind of brings it back and he turns around. Oh, you found one. Good. Oh, well, I suppose I should take this one back then.
Oh no. I took yours.
Oh, yes. I suppose I might need a seat. He kind of looks around for a second. Oh, here's one. The one that he just brought back over. And he'll set himself down in it.
After he sits down, I look at him and I say, Brumley, do sit down before you hurt yourself.
It's Brummell. Good doctor, it's Mr. Brummell.
Brummell? Are you sure?
Yes,
Are you sure it's
quite.
Brumley?
No, that's never been Brumley.
But Brummell.
Brummell. Yes,
Brummell.
2 M's, 2 L's.
Brummell, not Brumley.
No.
Brummell like a bumblebee.
Of a sort, I suppose. Perhaps maybe I should call it an evening.
Ah, yes, well, one day perhaps when you reach an age such as mine, your tolerance will have increased. As I am clearly no farther or handling my liquor no better than Mr. Brummell.
I think looking at the two of them and how bad this is, and Mr. Brummell, Cassian is going to kind of give Mr. Brummell the out here, and she's going to turn to him and say, Mr. Brummell, if it's not too much of an imposition, can you show me to my rooms, please?
Oh, yes. Certainly, yes, of course. He kind of tries to stand and has to steady himself for a moment, take a pause.
Yeah, and
That-
she gives her, like, normally the man gives the arm and she would grab it. Well, that's
Mhm.
kind of what's happening here, except that Cassiani is doing the leading through this instead
Okay.
of
Yeah.
she's helping him, but making it look like he's helping her.
He's absolutely leaning on you, um, using this support. There has been a slight issue with the bookings for the room. I am afraid you and your sister will have to share a room.
Oh dear.
I know, I am quite sorry, most embarrassed. I requested 6 rooms, but they only have given me 4.
Very well. Um, we will make do.
You're a very good sport, Miss Victoria. He kind of pats your hand.
She kind of just pats him back. Yes. Well, please do lead the way. As she leads the way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. This just over here, and he'll guide you, as you help him physically move, to his room. And you're able to deposit him there easily enough, and then return to your own if you'd like.
Yeah, I think barring all impropriety in this situation, she will actually take him into his room and deposit him on his bed before he passes out. And then quietly leave.
Yeah, he kind of like sits on the edge of the bed to kind of remove his boots, and you kind of turn to leave him to his devices, and before you close the door behind you, you can hear that he has fallen backwards onto the bed and is already starting to lightly snore.
At this, Cassiani would go maybe across the hall to wherever her room actually is. And we see that she'll close the door and then she kind of just like leans up against it and her eyes are closed. It's like the first moment of, I guess, solitude that she's been afforded at this point. And then we see she's kind of straightens up again. She gets ready. I'm imagining there's some sort of like dressing table with a chair like in a mirror, and she'll just kind of sit down in front of it, and she's looking into the mirror, and then all of a sudden, like her body, that straightness, the posture, everything just kind of melts away, and she crumples onto the dressing table, head in her arms, and sobs just rack her body.
And we pull back out of the room, um, as we see Belinia, now returning to the Humidor Hotel. Is there anything that that Felinia is doing, or another stop that she is making before she returns to the hotel for the evening?
I'm going to pretty much just go inside and head to my room. I don't see anyone from our party, so I make my way up to my room.
Okay. Unbeknownst that you are traveling companions, is there anything that Dr. Meredith does or says as this enormous bumblebee just hums its way past you?
He is. Oh, I'm sorry.
I am taking a drink as this bumblebee buzzes his way through. As I raise the cup to my lips and I see this bumblebee pass by, and I do believe I've had enough for tonight. And I set my glass carefully aside and I begin to. Is Mr. Brummell still nearby?
No, he has now been deposited to his room.
Yeah. Brummell was. Well, actually, I guess since I kind of inserted that I've been here, I probably already have a room. if I've been here for a couple days?
Yeah, I would imagine.
Well, yes. Would you, good doctor, please show me to my quarters? Yes, of course, I will do so post haste. Just so kind of you. Did you happen to see a bumblebee just now? Oh yes, I did. No bother, no bother. Let's get you to bed. And I begin just mumbling to myself in this manner as I totter to my room.
Okay. Sorry. There's a robot spam bot or something in the chat. Thank you for taking care of that, Karen. Okay. So yeah, you toddle off to bed. And you are also able to find your way to your room. Felinia, the concierge at the hotel, will show you to the room that was rented for you by Mr. Brummell. And you can turn in for the evening. While it's not the most upscale place, it is, again, the nicest place here in Downridge, and the bedding is comfortable, and it's certainly a lot more comfortable than what many of you spent last night, sleeping kind of out under the open air of the grand staircase when you were halfway through the travel of the Bannister caravan. The smell of mice kind of permeating the air all around you. We cut back across town where at a little hunter's bar, there is no shortage of drinking that is going on. There's a lot of raucous shouting, little bursts of laughter here and there. This is the kind of place where, somebody tells a good joke and like 3 or 4 people punch them in the arm. It's that kind of place. And there's, upturned glasses that are kind of like stacked on top of each other in a pyramid. Where in this establishment do we find Rosalind?
Oh, a few drinks in, Rosalind is probably joining in, telling stories and hitting people in their arms as they hit her in her arms. Like, she is just like, I am not here. I am not this person. I am now this person. And I'm fun when I'm drunk. And she's just like, she is trying to forget all about it. I imagine, though, that like at one point, maybe she like turns and she sees Ronan at a table and she stumbles her way over and leans on the table and she's got her cup in her hands and she's like, you're not gonna tell any stories? You're not gonna join? I want to hear a story.
I think Ronan probably does just start in on a story then. Just seeing the type of place that they're in, and seeing how far he thinks Rosalind's gone. He begins to tell this story of a hunt that he was on. And to anyone that's not inebriated to a decent extent, they know that this is one of those stories that can't be true. There's no possible way this can actually be true. But he starts in on the story of a spider that he hunted, and he hunted the spider for a week straight without food or water. It's that kind of story. And every time he sees the spider's a little bigger and has a couple more legs. He's almost testing like the bounds of how far he can push this before either Rosalind or someone else calls him out on this. And he never catches or kills the spider, by the way, by the end of the story, if he gets that far.
I was gonna say, I think like Rosalind is like absolutely enraptured by this story. Like, I just think she's listening to all these stories. She's only told a couple of her own, I imagine. But she's sitting there listening to this story. You went so long without food and water, and then this spider, it never died. You never killed the spider. Why did you let the spider live? But she's just like enraptured by this story. And you can just see like the glaze of her on her eyes from how, inebriated she is at this point. And the way that she sits, her drink has to rest on the table, because if she held it up, it would just fall and go everywhere. And I think she like gives this face where her eyes are squinted. She looks like she's trying to think of something. And it looks like this is very, very difficult for her. And she manages to kind of tilt her head to the side a little bit. I guess that was a good story. I need more to drink. I don't have good stories like that. Stories are real exciting, and there's so much going on.
I'm sure that you have stories of your own. You may not find them exciting, but
They're it's kind of a downer, so
I have a few of those as well. Everyone does. Why don't I get you that drink? And Ronan walks to where whoever's serving drinks and tries to procure, if this type of establishment has it, something that's not alcohol, something that's gonna be hydration. Not just like straight up water, because he's afraid Rosalind might notice that, but like maybe a virgin something, or something that she'll drink and think it's adding to the effects here.
it's yummy.
It's something very sweet. It's chilled, so it's easy going down. But yeah, they could absolutely find you something like that and bring it to you.
Oh, what's this?
And I think Ronan may be starting to feel bad for lying, starts to talk this drink up about how it's like that, maybe the house special. This is the secret drink of this establishment.
Hey, you and me, we need to go to some more dives together. I think that would be fun. I'm not really good with people anymore.
I could show you a few. Maybe let me choose the next one.
Oh, what's wrong with this one?
If we stay here long enough, you'll find out.
I like him rowdy and I like him loud.
I think at that point, somebody literally bumps into Rosalind's arm and spills this non-alcoholic sweet drink like all over the table. Oops.
I think it won't be like malicious or anything, but she'll get this look on her face, like there's like this sadness that her drink is now gone. And she turns, and it's very much more of a playful like punching of his arm because she's drunk. She the best way I can describe this is she's basically the drunk white girl in the bar.
Okay.
And I think as she turns and she hits this person's arm, it's almost like a pirouette and she loses her footing a little bit, but she grabs onto the table to not fall all the way to the ground. Hey, I mean, we need to go to another place. I need air.
All right. I'll take you somewhere. And Ronan's going to try to escort Rosalind out and in the direction of the hotel.
Okay.
He's gonna get as close as he can, hoping that she doesn't realize that we're not going to another bar.
I don't think she's gonna notice.
Is the intention to take her back to the hotel?
Absolutely.
I think you're safe.
Yeah, by the
I
time that
think
you get there, she's like maybe even snoring a little.
Maybe. I think she would try to probably tell some stories on their way, and just like mid-sentence, she kind of like passes out. And she snores a little.
So we see Ronan carrying / dragging / propping up Rosalind as they come in through the doors of the Humidor Hotel. The concierge kind of shakes his head a little bit, and after getting your name and realizing that you're part of Mr. Brummell's party, he will inform you that that Rosalind is to be delivered to the same room as Cassiani, and that you, Ronan, are actually staying in the same room as Mr. Brummell.
Ronan will attempt to deposit Rosalind in the room Cassiani's in.
At some point,
first,
Cassiani,
obviously.
and this is probably like approaching middle of the night, maybe even firmly middle of the night, that your door opens, Cassiani, and you hear somebody stumble in, and Rosalind kind of gets laid into the bed next to you.
I think, Cassiani would actually get up and help put Rosalind into the bed. If it's still Ronan helping and doing that, she would just kind of whisper to him, "Thank you," and then tuck Rosalind into bed. But Cassiani is not going to go back into bed with her sister. I think at this point she will get dressed. Like once Ronan has left, obviously. She'll get dressed and she will slip out and go down to the lobby where she'll find a nice cushy chair where she'll kind of curl up in.
Okay. And so the first night downstairs passes for all of you. Some of you awaken the next morning a little less ready for the coming of the sun than others. But as you awaken, you can smell that a breakfast has been prepared by the concierge, the owner of the Humidor Hotel, and is being served in the little cafe downstairs. Mr. Brummell is present, is dressed the same as he has been. His adventuring clothes, the rugged attire that he has been wearing this entire time, that looks like it was probably bought expressly for this journey and had not been worn previously. But his demeanor is a lot more quiet. The there's a lot less outward expression coming from him this morning. How do we find each of you in the morning? Sorry,
Who's
go
the
ahead.
first one? I was gonna say, who's the first one down the stairs in the morning?
I
Probably.
think Ronan's probably coming in from outside. I think Ronan found Mr. Brummell just snoring up a storm, smelling of alcohol in the room. And he just decided that he's the guide, he's used to sleeping outside. He's probably going to be doing that more. So he went and found himself a spot outside and had himself asleep outside. So he's probably one of the coming in with the sunrise to kind of freshen up, clean up, and get some breakfast.
So you'll probably find Cassiani curled up on that comfortable chair in the morning. And I think she, hearing you move around would be enough to wake her up. And she would just kind of like sit up, kind of all startled, like, oh, like you caught her doing something terrible. And she would kind of just like fix her clothing and her appearance a little bit. And good morning. You're up early.
Sun tends to be your awakening when you sleep out under the stars.
You slept outside.
Let's just say that I could have slept more peacefully next to a bear than Mr. Brummell.
Oh dear, yes, yeah. Today will be interesting.
Jeremy, I'm assuming there's like a coffee or like a coffee equivalent in this
Certainly
world. I think that Ronan suggests to Cassiani that she take some, I imagine like there's just like little caps basically that's being served as cups or whatever. And Ronan suggests maybe taking an entire bowl of coffee to Rosalind. Your sister may need more than good mornings to make it through the day.
Ronan, I'm sorry to ask you for another favor, but do you think you could deliver it to her?
Is everything okay between the two of you? Not that I mind helping, but
I'm sure things would be fine, but please.
right. I'm not one to pry. I'll see what I can do. I never know if Rosalind's going to take my actions kindly or give me that look. And he does smile at this, like he's half joking, but you definitely know what he means at the same time. And then he heads to wherever they're serving breakfast and coffee, and he will get the absolute biggest container they offer for coffee to go find Rosalind.
Perfect. It sounded like Felinia was headed downstairs, so she might even like almost run into Ronan carrying this almost punch bowl sized like vessel of coffee.
Yes, yeah. I also am hungry and ready to start the day and heading downstairs for a giant cup myself. So I have to take Peaches outside to do her business.
Yep.
and get ready for the trip.
Okay. Yeah, I imagine that once you have taken her for her walk, and you can come back and her ugh. Oh, God.
God damn it.
I will not apologize.
Nor
That
should
was
you.
bad. You should feel bad.
Uh, you come back in from taking her on her morning walk, and you're able to get some coffee as well as some breakfast. And again, breakfast is probably a few pieces of fruit. And like you might have like a blackberry or something that is set in the middle of a table, almost like it's supposed to be like a turkey at Thanksgiving for us. And you just pull one node off of this blackberry, and it's 2 hands, and you can eat that, and it will be very filling. There's probably mouse bacon, of some kind, I would imagine, as well as some form of like mushroom flour pancakes or something to that effect, that you can choose from here at the breakfast. Okay. I think at some point, like I said, Mr. Brummell will come down dressed, and he sees that Cassiani at least has, is down here. Ronan is here. Fellini is down here. Good morning to all of you, he says, as he kind of weakly greets you and tries to find some coffee himself.
Yeah, and I think Cassiani is kind of anticipated that eventually he's going to come down and he's going to feel pretty rough. And so she's got already like this glass of some sort of juice as well ready for him, that she, as soon as he sits back down with whatever he's decided to eat and his coffee, she'll kind of give him this juice as well.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you. He takes it, and we'll start to drink and eat.
Think about that point. I come downstairs. I am Ascot, fully done up, clothes fully, looking prim proper, and the opposite of disheveled. As I walk up and I put both hands on Brummell's shoulders. Good morning, Mr. Brummell. I trust you slept well. I slept damn near the sleep of the dead last night, and I immediately take a seat at the table with all of you next to Brummell. I grab a piece of this fruit. I pour myself some coffee. I grab 3 or 4 rashers of the greasiest, crispiest looking bacon. I grabs 1, 2, 3, 4 of these pancakes, take some of the juice from the berry and dump it all over, and immediately just start digging in. You're going to have to feed that hangover, Mr. Brummell.
He almost looks like embarrassed or shocked that you've kind of like mentioned it publicly. Yes, I'm afraid you have me at a bit of a disadvantage, Dr. Meredith. But as the doctor orders, I'm not 100% feeling well, so if you think some food would be in order, then maybe it would help to settle my stomach.
Absolutely. It's going to do one of 2 things, Mr. Brummell. A full belly is going to absorb all of that excess alcohol and make you feel delightfully wonderful, or it's going to cause you to involuntarily purge all of that leftover alcohol. Either way, the result is the same and is better. What nobody knows, and if you I imagine just this quick little sort of flashback to Dr. Meredith getting up in the morning. As he gets out of bed, he is absolutely horrible looking, has the worst hangover, but he is a doctor. So what nobody knows is he said about setting up from his doctor's bag a little glass vial and set up an IV, gave himself some fluids, as he carefully shaved and did everything. So he is not quite as put together as he looks. It is definitely something that he uses his profession to to make him appear to be able to handle his alcohol better than he does.
Make it till you make it. Yeah, Mr. Brummell is slowly starting to nurse the situation. Thankfully, the juice that Cassiani has prepared helps, and as well as getting some food into his stomach. Although he looks a little alarmed at the possibility that he might not be able to keep it down, and that all of this was discussed in front of Cassiani.
I immediately look
Felinia.
over. Oh, and a good morning to you, Miss Victoria. Was it? I believe it was Miss Victoria. Yes.
You're muted.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
You'll have to speak up. I'm deafness here.
She taps her mouth because it was behind a kerchief. Good morning to you too, sir.
And Dr. Meredith, this is Ms. Pine. I do not believe that she was here whenever I turned in for the evening last night. The bumblebee is Peaches.
Oh. So, I didn't dream the bumblebee. How delightful.
No, she's very real and very friendly.
I would certainly hope so, being in an establishment along with all these other people, but she does seem quite well behaved.
She licks at the berry syrup at the edge of
as I'm she does seem to be quite well behaved, and just sort of gently doing that pat. Yes, I am Dr. What the hell's my name? Dr. Mercer Alexis Meredith. I believe some of you may have been expecting me a few days prior to today, but let us not dwell on the fact that I was unable to make that meeting, and I'm here now.
I am Felinia Pine, and this is Peaches, my bumblebee. And I am a veterinarian myself. I like to care for animals.
Oh, so you are a doctor of sorts.
Somewhat, yes, you could say.
Ah, well, that's all right. Yeah, not everybody can make it as a real doctor. It's wonderful that you could put your talents to caring for animals. I'm sure they appreciate your skills all the same.
It would seem so.
Mr. Brummell almost chokes on the bite that he was taking at the inconsiderableness of that comment. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think Cassiani has the same reaction as Mr. Brummell, and I think maybe there's kind of some sort of side eye between the two of them as they kind of realize dude, you hired him.
There are at least a couple other individuals here, Mr. Brummell, that I have not yet been introduced to.
Yes.
I will chalk your impropriety up to your current condition. No
Please,
offense will be taken.
Forgive me. Yes, you met Ms. Victoria last night, and you've now met Ms. Pine and Peaches. This, of course, is Mr. Flynn. He is our guide. I do not see the other Miss Victoria, however.
I think Ronan reaches up to tip his hat and then realizes that because we're among civilized folk, he's not wearing his hat at the moment. It's sitting, maybe hanging off the chair behind him or something like that. So he just kind of plays and then plays off by scratching his head a little bit. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Well, you, I guess, Doctor.
The pleasure is mine, and I mimic a little hesitantly the motion you just made, as if one would return what he believes to be perhaps a Slough custom, a form of Slough greeting. Yes, an esteemed guide. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Is your sister feeling all right? Mr. Brummell turns to Cassiani to ask.
And I believe you probably catch her mid-drink. And she just kind of, I'm sure she'll be down when she's ready. And then she'll drink and carry on.
Ah, very well. He has produced like a small pocket watch from his vest. We have some time before we need to leave, I suppose. We wouldn't want to rush anyone.
I think it's as that he says that we wouldn't want to rush anyone, that Rosalind finally comes down and she comes to the table, and much like how the doctor talked about, eating greasy foods, she is getting the greasiest, gnarliest bacon that she can, and she is just, she's not very ladylike about it as she's just shoving it in her mouth.
Perfect.
I don't think she says anything though. She's very much quiet. She looks sore. She looks like she doesn't feel good.
There's like maybe like an older like fairy couple sitting in the corner, like near where all the bacon is, and they kind of watch as you're like getting the bacon off the line and like eating it before you're even like leaving.
Yep.
One on the plate, one in the mouth, one on the plate,
Yeah.
one in the mouth.
And they're kind of like
Exactly.
staring like horrified at this behavior. And I think Cassiani, I don't know how much attention you're paying to Rosalind, but I imagine like maybe this couple's attention on Rosalind at the very least gets noticed by you.
Yeah, I think so Cassiani is actually very much paying attention to what Rosalind is doing, but also hiding the fact that she's paying a lot of attention to what Rosalind is doing. So I think I imagine like sitting by Mr. Brummell, he might feel there's some sort of tension in Cassiani at this moment. Like she's not relaxed at the table. She is extremely tense and her motions are a little bit stilted, but yeah, she's definitely got her eye on Rosalind. I'm just kind of watching, and as one like almost like a prey would be watching the predator prowl around. That's kind of the look that's going around. Yeah.
Yeah, I think after standing there for a couple of minutes, just like putting a ton of she's got like this heap of bacon now on her plate as she comes to the table and she sits down, and I imagine that if the seat's available, she probably sits opposite of Cassiani. And she'll very slowly incline her head to Mr. Brummell and then to everyone else.
Well, Mr. Brummell says, kind of cutting the tension. If everyone is ready, then perhaps we should leave within the hour. We do have some distance to cover. We'll descend from Downridge, and then we will be crossing the place that I have written down. We will be crossing the Stairside Prairie all of today. We'll probably have to spend the night, preferably in some place dry and warm again. And then the next day after, we should be reaching Doorkeep. And then it's the study beyond that. You can tell that there's some level of trepidation when he mentions the study.
Remind me, when we're delivering him, is that past the study and somewhere else?
Yeah, so like basically your journey today or the next 2 days will basically be across the atrium of the household from the base of the staircase to the door of the study. Doorkeep is a city that's built in the doorway that enters the study. and then you'll cross the study from there, from the doorway all the way to the bookcase, where Bookshire is actually where the wedding is supposed to take place.
So, what can we expect in our travels across the prairie?
Oh, the prairies are quite lovely. If maybe not a bit, well, quaint, he says, kind of looking at Ronan a little bit. Lots of farmlands, ranches, things of that nature. Good salt of the earth type folk.
Okay, good to know.
So,
What does Ronan know about the study?
So the study has quite a bit of travel that happens kind of around the perimeter of the room. That's where most people kind of journey. Because the center of the room is a little more rugged, a little more outside the law. The Hearth, which is kind of the kingdom that exists inside the study, their patrols kind of form a perimeter. They kind of make a circuit around the room, but they don't patrol the central part. And there's a lot of bandit activity that happens kind of in the central part. As well, there's also I think it's called the Yule tree. Essentially, it's a Christmas tree at one time that had fallen over, and is dominating a good portion of that corner of the room into the center of the room. And from where the window has broken and things behind it, it gets a lot of rain, snow, and creatures from outside that have kind of moved in. So that entire corner and central part of the room is kind of a wild place. It's probably a place that Ronan has visited at least once as a guide, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think that Ronan doesn't even really hear the question about the plains. He just asks. He while this talking about the plains and the prairie and everything's going on, he's kind of reciting all that about the study in his mind, and he's gonna look to Mr. Brummell. Are we planning to travel around the edge of the study? We have the time for that. Were you thinking to go through the center?
Uh, no, unfortunately, we don't have the time to skirt the study. We will be headed through the center of the room. I was assured that this would not be a problem by our previous guide. You do have experience with this, yes? He's saying all this kind of like under his breath, trying not to have the rest of the table hear it necessarily.
Ronan is not saying any of this quietly. Like he's not trying to cause a panic or anything, but he spent enough time last night lying or telling falsehoods to one of the party, so he's going to, especially since it's the potential of putting everyone in danger, he's making sure what he said is kind of known to anyone that's listening. He just says, I was afraid that you would say that. It most likely will be a problem. I think it's probably a problem we can handle. It's a bit more dangerous to go through the middle of the study, the outskirts, but that's why you have me.
I've heard stories of this rugged land that is in the study. I've heard that there are animals that we've never seen before, creatures that are absolutely beasts.
Well, I'm certain that some of these stories are mere exaggerations, children's cautionary tales.
Poppycock. That's what we call them. Yes, poppycock. Exaggerations told over
Yes.
drink in seedy bars.
Hunters who are merely trying to expand their renown.
Exactly.
Certainly.
I think this is the first time like Rosalind would really speak, and it's as she's swallowing a piece of bacon, probably one of her last pieces. Have you ever been to the study?
Me? Mr. Brummell says.
And she kind of gestures between Mr. Brummell and our lovely Dr. Meredith.
Of course not. This is the furthest down I've been.
Then I really think that you should trust our lovely guide here.
Oh, I have the utmost trust in him to be able to take us across the prairie.
I believe what
never
I
heard
mean.
of a prairie being associated with danger.
I believe what I mean is you should trust that it could be very dangerous.
Well, that's why I'm here. Should you stub your toe, break your arm, or be stung by, well, not stung, bitten by a wild animal, well, that's why I'm here, to keep all of you safe. Medically speaking, of course.
Wonderful.
Mr. Brummell, you can tell, is definitely he's chewing on more than just his breakfast. He's definitely a little concerned that Ronan is concerned. He definitely does not seem as comfortable with the thought of crossing the study as he's letting on.
Surely your wife to be would be understanding if we took a couple more days to take the safe route.
And delay the wedding.
Better you to arrive than to not.
Well, perhaps, maybe I should send word to her just in case.
I think that would be a most excellent plan.
If we must go through the center of the study, I'll get us through. He kind of looks over everybody for a moment. Just need to be prepared to do whatever it takes to get through. It's not always the beasts. He pauses for a moment. It's not always the creatures that you have to worry about in the middle.
Well, I think I'm going to go to finish packing my bags. Looking forward to seeing what exactly lies before us in the staircase prairie. I've heard it's quite beautiful. I'm looking forward to seeing it for myself for the first time. He kind of pushes himself away from the table and makes his excuses before leaving. Okay.
I think at this point,
Mhm.
Ronan looks to Rosalind and just says, "You may have one of them stories to tell very soon."
I think that's the first time that Rosalind kind of grins a little. And I think she eventually picks up her basically punch bowl of coffee and she's chugging it. And in between chugging it, maybe to catch her breath for a moment, she just looks at him and kind of shrugs her shoulders. And you can see that she kind of closes her eyes, like, that hurts. She goes, "Well, maybe I'll tell you another along the way."
Then Ronan just nods to you and continues to finish his breakfast and then begins to check. I mean, I think Ronan travels light and probably has most of his gear on him most of the time. And he just, as everyone else is preparing to head out, he's checking what he has to make sure he's ready to go. Trying to make sure that he's
Perfect.
probably the first one ready to go, honestly.
And
Okay.
I think Cassiani, probably shortly after Mr. Brummell has left the table, she is going to get up as well and go back to her room. Having slept most of the night downstairs, she needs to go kind of freshen up a little bit and pack. So she'll head out, leaving the rest of them there.
Where will I find the carriage for which to bring my luggage?
Oh, Mr. Brummel kind of stops at the entrance to the room. Yes, it should be here momentarily. Should be. And he kind of like turns and hurries from the room. Okay, I think this is where we're going to take our break. So we're going to take a 10-minute break, go to the bathroom, refill your drinks, smoke them if you got them, kiss your spouse, etc., etc. Then we will come right back and finish what we have for the second part of Act 2 of All the Little Things. Stay tight. We will be right back. Hello, everyone. We are back from our break here with the second half of Act 2 for All the Little Things. We are playing a system called Household. Currently, this is a system that was put out by Two Little Mice. The book is absolutely gorgeous. It is crammed full of incredible artwork and no shortage of lore. We were talking about that before the game. It is a very daunting book, but it is a gorgeous tome. I know that there are things that I should be running this game, doing to run this game differently, but we're having fun. We're telling stories, and I'm sure at some point we're gonna roll some dice, and hopefully we'll do that part right. But if not, then deal with it. So I think we are ready to rejoin our group of littlings as they are about to depart from Downridge. Is there anything that any of you wants to do before you leave the city? No?
Not that I want to do, but I just want to point out that Dr. Meredith, when he shows up at the out front, is still wearing his absolutely elegant suit, but he has knee-high boots, a hiking backpack that his stuff is thrown into. He's wearing some kind of a cap that looks like the wealthy man's idea of what a hunting cap would look like, and a walking stick. He looks very much like a Victorian era rich man who is deciding to take a hike in the woods for the day, and expects absolutely nothing of danger to get in his way.
Absolutely perfect. I imagine, much the same as Mr. Brummell has looked, for most of this journey. Boots that don't really have so much as a smudge on them whenever they're starting out. Panama hat, yeah. Sorry, go
much
ahead.
the same as Cassiani, but she's got the female equivalent. She's got
Right.
probably in like riding attire, as if she was going to go out riding. But yeah, it's all very probably impractical for the actual journey. But for a carriage ride, it's fine.
Yeah, and there is a carriage that is waiting to load your luggage onto, and has room for a few of you at least to ride in. Though, if all of you were to try to ride, it would be quite cramped. Mr. Brummell kind of makes his apologies that the arrangements were not entirely up to his standards. This was not what he had understood whenever he made the arrangements ahead of time. But I'm certain a little walking will be good for me. Maybe even a little flying.
Rona is fully prepared to walk.
I was about to say, I think Rosalind would also walk. Like, she's one of the fightery types, so I think she would feel suffocated in the carriage. So I think she would very much walk outside.
Oh, I'm absolutely riding in the carriage.
I
Makes
will be
perfect
riding
sense.
the carriage, but Peaches will be flying, obviously, beside the carriage.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Perfect. And Tatiana, who joined you at breakfast as well, we'll say. She just didn't have much to say, apparently. She will also be riding in the carriage as long as there's space available. So You head out from Downridge, and you make this kind of switchback scaffolding that kind of travels some ways in one direction on a decline, and then kind of has to be turned. The carriage and the mice that are drawing it have to be turned, and then they head down a new ramp. And this, for anybody who has vertigo, this is probably a little intense at the very, very beginning. But before long, probably after 2 hours or so, you exit the scaffolding and you find yourself on the ground of the atrium itself. You can see spread out as far as you can see farmlands and ranches. Even though you are not far from the stairs as of yet, you can already see mouse hands herding their cattle mice across the open ranges, and the small, quaint, quiet country houses of the littlings that live here. Mr. Brummell kind of smiles and takes in a deep inhale. Well, this is quite lovely. Shall we?
Let's.
All right. You head off into the wilds. Through the day, for the most part, it's going to be pretty uneventful. But I would like for everyone, please, to give me a street plus investigation roll.
What does that mean?
So you'll take the ranking that you have in street, which is what is called the...
So it'll
What
be like
is-
1 or 2, depending on your.
Yes, typically. I can never remember what they call the 4 main attributes, whatever those are. But street is one of those. So you'll take that, and then underneath that,
Investigations under academia.
academia, that's where it is. Thank you. So you'll take what you have in investigation and what you have in street. You'll take that number of d6s and you'll roll them. And what you're looking for are similarities. So pairs, 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, etc.
I have a question. So street includes 5 different traits, whereas investigation is only 1 trait. So
you take the top, what street is like. Street has either 1 or 2 spades. So whatever you have in street, so you'd have that number of dice, and then whatever investigation has.
Yeah,
and it's
thank you.
D6, correct?
Yeah, d6s. So yeah, a field and a skill, that's what they're called. The 4 main ones are called fields, and all of the things underneath them are called skills. So you'll roll those. If you have any positive or negative circumstances that come from, equipment or class abilities or things like that, then you can add those to it. They usually will add or remove dice from your pool. You'll never roll less than 2, and you'll never roll more than 9 at a time. If you get at least a basic success, which is a pair, then you can choose to re-roll it if you want to. If you're going to do so, you would take all of the dice that are not part of that success and roll them again. Again, somewhat similar to Yahtzee. If you get an additional success or something that upgrades it from a basic success to something bigger, like a 3 of a kind, a 4 of a kind, etc., then you can keep the new result. But if you don't, you lose one of the successes that you had previously on your first roll. Does it make sense? Kind of like a gamble type situation. If you get a pair, that is a basic success. If you get a 3 of a kind, that is a critical success. If you get a 4 of a kind, that's an extreme success. 5 is an impossible success. If you get 6 of a kind, that is a jackpot. It is also possible to get more than one success on a roll. So you could get 2 basic successes, or you could get a basic success and a critical success, for example. So, if you have rolled those, does anybody want to re-roll?
Would my Pathfinder, I'm not sure what exactly we're rolling for. Would my Pathfinder trait come into play by chance?
Possibly.
Gain +1 when looking for trails or trying to find your bearings in the wild.
I would say yes.
Okay. And that's just an extra die, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
That did not help me at all.
Well, that's how it goes. Okay. Was there anybody that was interested in a reroll?
I rolled a 6 and a 3, so if I'm understanding correctly, that means nothing.
Correct. Yeah. So that'll be no successes. Okay. Anybody else?
I rolled a 3 and then 3 2s.
Okay, so you got 3 of a kind, which is a critical success. Excellent. Okay.
I got a
basic.
What was that?
We both got basic successes. We both
Basic
got a pair.
successes, just one. Okay.
I got a pair of keyholes.
Oh,
Nice.
You just gotta show off the new dice.
Mm-hmm. They're very pretty. Okay, so it sounds like what did you end up with, Nathan or Ronan?
I rolled 5 dice and none of them match.
Oh no. Okay. So I think maybe like Ronan, your head's kind of on a swivel. You know, you're just kind of constantly kind of darting this way and that. Even though this seems like fairly settled country, there's still just something that has like the hairs on the back of your neck kind of standing on end a little. So you're kind of paying most of your attention towards that. And the rest of you are either, involved in idle chit chat or maybe catching up on a little bit of extra sleep, riding in the carriage, and don't notice. However, Felinia, it might even be because of Peaches, but at some point, your attention is drawn to a discarded implement that is somewhat grown over by the ground moss, the molds and things that have grown here, almost like grasses here. It's fairly tall. Between the pile of the carpet here and the dust and the dirt and the molds that have grown here, it's almost like waist-high grass in a lot of places. But you notice a strange metal handle that is sticking out from underneath all of this overgrowth. And you realize that it was likely being used at some point in the past as a pitchfork. But you find a piece of cutlery that would have been used by the master at some point to eat with, but for littlings is longer than a littling is tall. And it has been fitted with a handle that is more adept, it looks like, for some kind of warrior to wield as a weapon, or a farmer to wield as a pitchfork.
Okay. I'm going to carefully, I guess, approach the tall grass and the area that's grown over where the object is, and try to investigate it further and see if I can maybe unearth it from being covered up.
It takes a little bit of kind of rocking it back and forth, and maybe pulling back some of the the molds that have kind of grown over it. But with a little bit of work, you manage to pull it free.
Okay. I'll kind of brush off some of the dirt and mess that's on it, and wow, this is a fine piece. And then I turn around to show it to the rest of the group. Look what I found. This is fascinating.
Mr. Brummell will kind of look in your direction. Oh, my! It's just a fork. Wow, this it certainly is. It looks like it was probably at some point quite a fine weapon.
It seems to still be in decent condition. Usable.
Yes, I wonder. He kind of like turns in the direction of both Rosalind and Ronan. Would either of you, perhaps have use of such a weapon? It's quite large.
I'm sure that someone will need it by journey's end. And you can tell, like, Ronan's trying to pay attention to surroundings, but you can tell his mind is already in the study. But he also reaches back and touches this keyskit that's slung around his back. I should have what I need here.
I imagine that it's very obvious she's got the spool on her back of thread and then her needle at her side. That is a little big even for me. So
I see. Well, I'm certain we can just take it with us. If nothing else, perhaps maybe we could trade whenever we get to Doorkeep.
Not a bad idea.
So with if Felenia is willing to turn it over, you can fix it to the top of the carriage, essentially, and let it ride there.
I'm a sprite, so I'm a waif-like little thing. So I try to start lifting, and I'm grunting and heaving and hoeing, and it's really not moving much at all. So I think I'll turn around and sheepishly ask Ronan if he can lend a hand.
Yeah, Ronan will come assist. Beginning to wonder to himself how he's become more than just the guide of the trip. But not begrudgingly, just wondering, just personal musings on that.
You get the fort kind of lifted up onto the top of the carriage, and use some of the luggage to weigh it down, some of the straps to kind of hold it in place a little bit, and then you're able to continue on your way with this treasure with you. At some point, you run across another littling who almost surprises you, Ronan. For as attentive as you have been, you almost walked right into a clearing where the molds and the pile on the carpet were, trampled down a bit more. And you kind of step out into this clearing before kind of pausing and realizing that there's another littling that's kind of on the edge of this clearing, somewhat crouched down, camouflaged with this billowing cape, and wearing the carapace armor of a beetle. She has what looks like a fountain pen bracer, like a punching dagger, affixed to one arm. Very clearly someone who is used to fighting for a living. She is crouched on top of a bolt that is sticking out of a broken piece of wood that has long since been grown over to just become another small little hillock here in the stair-side prairie. She is kind of crouched on the top of this bolt, staring off into the grasses ahead of where you are. And as you kind of like step into this clearing, she holds up her fist, the one that is not attached to this fountain pen, as if to tell you to stop moving.
I think just instinctually Ronan would stop as soon as he noticed this and kind of maybe like put his arms out to signal everyone else to stop, to come to a stop. And just take a moment to kind of look around and wait and see what this other littling does.
Okay. Everybody, if you would please, roll me a war plus caution. Uh-oh. Not report to.
So sorry, guys.
No, you're good.
My tablet died.
No worries. Just gonna get
I'm
you.
back.
I misrolled the first time because I misunderstood skill assignments. I will roll a lot more than 2 dice this time.
Okay. I was wondering. Well, I mean, it is possible that you would only have 2 dice in certain things.
No, what it was is when it lists the all of the skills you get for your field and your profession, I didn't realize you get all of those. I thought you picked your 4 out of those.
I see.
So
okay.
that's why I had underassigned. So I'm good. You said
Okay.
war plus.
This time, yeah, it'll be war plus caution.
Okay. Two pair.
There you go.
And 2 4s.
So no pairings?
Yeah, 2 pair.
Oh, you got 2 pair also?
Yeah.
Okay, so far 2 basic successes for both.
I got 1 basic success.
1 basic success, okay. Anyone else?
I have no successes.
No successes at all. Okay.
I got 1 pair.
1 pair. Okay, so all basic successes. What is it? Any extra successes? 1 higher success. Okay, that's what it is. Okay. So you can trade in. Oh, does anybody want to do a reroll before we start parsing all of that out?
Explain the reroll again real quick.
So if you have at least 1 basic success, you can choose to re-roll. When you're re-rolling, you're going to take all of the dice that aren't a part of a basic success or a success and roll them again. If you get an additional success or increase the success that you kept out to the side, then you get to keep the new result. If you fail to get an improvement on the initial success, then you lose a success.
So if I choose to re-roll, I would only roll one die.
How many dice did you have?
I had 5.
Okay, so you could take 2 dice and roll 3 again. But you may not want to do that because you might lose a success.
So I'm just going to roll one die.
Okay, sure.
Because that won't change my 2 successes.
Well,
correct?
it will if you fail to
improve.
improve.
I'll lose one of them.
Correct. Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
Okay.
I only live once. It's a 3. So that turns one pair into a triplet.
Okay,
Nice.
excellent. So yeah, that paid off then.
A pair of 3. So yeah, that paid off.
Okay, so you have a basic success and a critical success then.
Excellent.
Very, very cool. Okay. Any extra successes? I can take extra actions on their turn. Wait. Okay. So, Ronan has kind of put his arms out wide, trying to indicate for the rest of you to come to a stop. All of you who see this and are able to come to a stop also see this new littling who is up ahead at the edge of this clearing holding up a fist. She kind of turns around and glares in your direction. The carriage driver, kind of making a very loud whoa as he kind of pulls back on the reins on the mice to get them to come to a stop. You can tell she's quite upset that your group has made as much noise as it already has. She kind of looks at you, Ronan, almost like you should know better. And that is when you notice the dust and the molds and the fungus of the tall grasses moving, Ronan. Just about the time that you realize that, a creature leaps out of them at you. This creature, all of you very quickly realize, is a rat covered in battle scars, bristling with the hafts of broken weapons and arrows, sporting the pucker marks of keyskit wounds along its body. In particular, Ronan, you recognize the beady eyes of this rodent as it leaps through the air towards you. Okay, we are entering combat. So, the roll that you made, the war versus caution, was to see whether or not this creature was going to be able to get the surprise on you. I needed an extreme success, of which there were none. So, that means is that we are going to be starting combat with a reaction round. So all of you are somewhat on the defensive. So this NPC who is with you, the way that secondary characters work in this game is they have both a help and a hindrance. This character's help is that each one of you will be able to choose to add 1 die to either your attack or your reaction roll per round of combat. And you can choose differently each round if you wish. So, just keep that in mind as we find out what this rat is going to do here. Okay, so I rolled a 2. Okay, so he is going to attempt to slam you against the ground. The way that combat works in this game is a little strange. So it's a little more abstract than D&D. Essentially, all of you have to make your rolls against each of his attacks. He only gets 1 attack a round, typically. So all of you are going to have to defend against him trying to pin you to the ground. And in order to do that, you're going to have to roll strength and probably war. I think it's usually paired with war in combat. Or you might be able to choose. Okay, let's do it that way. So you have to use the strength skill, but I will let you individually determine what I forgot the damn word again. The 4 basic ones.
Field.
Thank you. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which field you want to use? But you will assemble a dice pool, and you're going to roll that. I will let you know that this creature is a critical difficulty, which means to avoid the damage that it does, you have to get a critical success.
I have a quick question about moves. I was just
Mhm.
reading it while we were explaining all this as well. I have a specific move that gives myself and one of my companions a +1 to our next reaction rolls.
Nice. Okay.
And then I also have Sword Fighter, which gives me a free reroll for all rolls that involve my chosen weapon, as well as for all action and reaction rolls in combat.
Wow. Okay. Oh yeah.
So I just
So,
want to let you know.
Who
that
are you
I'm gonna use
giving
this.
that +1 to?
Well, I mean, Ronan and I are the fighty guys.
Okay.
So I think I'm going to give it to Ronan.
All right. So Ronan, you'll have an extra die for your reaction roll.
Yeah, it's good because this is looking pretty bad.
Okay.
I'm assuming that street would make sense for this, right?
Yeah, it's basically how your character is going to avoid this. This particularly a strength related attempt to try to keep this thing from slamming you into the ground.
All right, I think we've got strength, so I'm gonna get a die for that, and then I think I'm gonna go street for my field.
Okay.
I think it does make sense because illusion falls under street. You know, trying to avoid this attack. So, how many matches do you need for a critical? Is that 4?
3. It should be a triple.
Okay.
Yeah, because I
right.
I about pooped. I just got that, so I was like,
Because I only got 4 die here, so
well,
yeah,
you get an
same.
extra from Rosalind.
That's the extra. That's
Okay.
what makes it 4.
And then there you have the one from the NPC with the beetle armor. You can apply that to your reaction if you want to this round. You just won't have it for your action later in this round if you want.
Is that something that everyone gets, or only
Yes.
one person can do that per round?
Each one of you will have the capability of choosing where you want to apply that.
Yeah, I'm gonna apply that here, I think.
Okay.
All right. And we can do rerolls on this too, right?
Correct. Yes.
All right, I'm going to cash in a reroll.
Okay, so did you get one success?
Yes, I got 2 4s.
Okay, so you'll put that success to the side, and then you'll re-roll the other dice.
Okay, I got another success, but it doesn't add to the
So
pair I already had. So I have 2
2
pairs
basic
now.
successes? Okay.
Yes.
There is also something called all in. If after a reroll or a free reroll, because there's certain like features and stuff that give you free rerolls. If after a roll or a free reroll, the player scored a better result than on the first roll, which you did, they can still choose to go all in to make an additional reroll. However, if they do not get any better or extra success, the player loses all previous successes and must face a terrible failure.
Okay. Is that re-rolling all dice or
Correct.
just okay? I'm gonna go all in actually.
Ooh,
Because
okay.
if this is what I think it is, and I think it is the way you described it, I think that Ronan has lost a very good modicum of calm, seeing what he's seen here. Oh no, it got worse. Yeah,
Uh-oh.
that's not a single dice matching.
Okay. Okay. So that is a terrible failure. All right. All right. So keep that in mind, Ronan. Let's find out how the rest of everyone has done. We had 2 basic successes, I think. Oh, no. That was for the previous roll, I think. Okay. Who else has their roll totaled up and ready to go? Jake, okay. Jake, what did you get?
I got 3 1s.
3 1. Okay, so a critical success. All right. And are you good with sitting, letting that ride, or do you want to try to re-roll?
Oh, I'm not pushing my luck.
Okay, fair enough. Rosalind, it also looked like you had your hand raised. What'd you get?
I got 3 3s.
Okay, also a critical success. Are you good with that, letting it ride?
Oh, I'm totally fine with that.
Okay, excellent. Anybody else?
I've got 2 3s, and then I have 5 dice total. I used the NPC plus 1 die
Okay,
to make it 5.
okay. And you just got a pair, just a basic success?
I got a basic success of 3s and then 3 unmatching.
Did you want to go for a re-roll, or do you want to leave it as a basic success?
I want to go for a reroll.
Okay, so you'll put the 2 that were the same aside, and then you'll take the other
Right.
3 dice, and you're going to re-roll those.
Okay.
And hope that you get something good.
I got another 3.
Okay, cool. So you turned your basic success into a critical success, and then you have the option, if you want, to go all in, or you can let that critical success
No,
stand.
I'm good.
Okay. Cassiani.
Okay, so I have the 1 for the strength. I would like to use academia, as in like
Okay.
the smartest way to get out of this mess that we're in.
Sure.
She's looking at because she got no experience with this. And then I'm going to use the NPC bonus dice.
Okay,
So I
on
have
your
4.
reaction. Okay.
Yeah, because that way I have 4 to roll. Yeah, that's real bad. I got 1 of everything, so nothing matches.
Okay. All right. So, this is a critical creature. Those of you who rolled a critical success, you are fine. You managed to defend yourself against this rat as it kind of comes launching from the air down on top of you. However, those of you who failed to get a critical success, you are going to take 3 stress from this. There should be a little track on your character sheet that kind of shows how much stress that you can take.
And I'm assuming we mark it off from left to right.
Probably. Do y'all have the little starbursts on them?
Yep, I do.
Okay. If you get to that, I think something...
Nasty.
Oh,
happens?
yeah. When a player fills in the crucial box, which is what those are called, you also suffer a relevant condition chosen by the narrator. So yeah, if you get to the point where you have to fill one of those out, let me know. But as of right now, it's just like bumps and scrapes, bruises, getting rattled. It's more along those lines as of right now.
Rattled. I like that.
Uh,
I kind of imagine that I'm still in the carriage, so I'm assuming that it hit the carriage as well as Ronan, and maybe so we're knocking about inside the carriage.
Yeah, the mice probably got spooked and reared up and caused quite a bit of jostling for the carriage itself, and you and maybe even Titania, the two of you knock noggins together. Okay. Is everybody else still good? Nobody's hit a crucial box yet? No? Okay.
Do I just take the 3 or do I need to wait?
Great question.
Till we resolve ours first.
Great question. So you'll take the 3. But I don't know if a terrible failure means something additional or not. Character gains a partial success or causes an unforeseen event. Brings stress. Oh. Okay, so time out. There's also something called damage control. When a player fails a roll, they can use a basic success to avoid suffering 1 stress, and a critical success to avoid suffering 3 stress. You can't do a damage control when facing an impossible. Oh, okay, well yeah. So for those of you who took stress, if you had a basic success, you can cash that in to basically drop the 3 stress down to 2.
I had 0 successes, so.
Well, there's not anything I can do to help you. Sorry.
Nope, nothing.
Okay, Nathan. Failures. Oh, what else? That's at a cost. Gains as partial success. Hazardous success with a stress. I think it's just going to be the 3 stress. I don't think there's anything additional that goes on to that I can see. So that's how we're going to roll with it.
Yeah, I was thinking it was just more narrative. The terrible failure or whatever is just more narrative, but I couldn't remember for sure.
Yeah, the failure in that sentence is capitalized, but the terrible part is not. So that's what kind of leads me to believe that it might not reference a specific ruling.
Gotcha.
Okay. This is soft piano music. That is not going to work for me.
Well, it might. It depends on how terrible the failure is. We might need soft piano music if it's too
Ronan
bad.
has died. Sorry,
it's already
everyone.
a funeral dirge, so sorry.
Okay. So, that was all of the reaction round, or the reaction turn. So we immediately then go into action rolls, which means that now you can each go on the offensive. Keep in mind that if you did use the NPC dice on your reaction, that you can't use it for this action this turn. But each one of you can now describe in whatever order that you wish to pick a field and a skill that you want to call into play here, and what you want to do. Don't forget that your characters have special features and stuff like that they also get.
I would like to I think, go first because this might help our other people's. Because I have a
Okay.
move called Attention to Details, where I can either ask for a clue or suggestion or find an opponent's weak spot, all in capitals. So I would like to use this
Oh.
move to find the opponent's weak spot.
Interesting. Okay. It doesn't say anything else about what that does.
No.
I
So
think
I was
there is
just
something about
looking
that.
up weak spots.
Yeah,
which
I
is on
think it
page
is actually a
280.
separate weak spot. There it is. Okay, so you would make a roll of investigation plus war to study the opponent in search of a weak spot. If you succeed, I use a table. Oh, I use a table to choose one. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so I will.
Table. Traits.
So is that a normal
spot.
person's or use a relative move? So I wouldn't have to use. So the next one, use a relevant move, which is what mine is. So I don't have to use. I don't have to roll the dice.
Oh,
I
nice.
just
Okay.
actually, yeah. So
Okay, sure. That's cool. All right, so let's see. When you find an opponent's weak spot, the narrator rolls a numeric die or randomly chooses from the table. Oh, here we go. Cool. Let's do that then.
And it says then each weak spot will grant +1 to a single roll or gives you a chance to attempt some flashy maneuver to your advantage. The player who discovers the weak spot is free to choose whether to use their next action to exploit it or to relay the information to a friend and let them do the honors. Either way, only
Nice.
one character can make the attempt to take the advantage of the weak spot, and they can only do it once.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay, so you discover that the opponent is agitated. And you can attack with will +1.
I would like to pass this information to a friend to let them do the honors because I'm not
Okay.
fighting. But I'm going to I'll yell out, "It's agitated!" Okay, wait.
All right. Is there a particular person that you want to give that to, or is it kind of a thing where you just put it on the table and somebody else can just snap it up if they want to?
Doesn't really say, but I'm going to put it on the table and I'll
Okay.
let whoever could best use it because yeah.
Okay. So if anybody is planning on using will, keep in mind that that is out there for the taking.
And then I'll do my actual action and turn later because I got nothing else. So
Okay.
I'm gonna go.
Who wants to go next? Anyone?
I think Ronan will go. I'm just imagining because of how bad my rolls went that part of the jostling of the carriage was Ronan actually getting slammed up against the side of the carriage. And this thing is just maybe like on top of him, like biting at him, pawing at him, and Ronan's trying to like push back. And he's gonna reach down to his side with one hand as he's kind of like batting away and dodging and swatting. And he's got this little piece of just crystal or glass or something with just a taped up handle. It's what functions as his knife. And he's just going to try to stab at this thing. I'm gonna use. I think I'm gonna use fight. And I'm going to use street if you'll allow it.
Okay. Yeah. So it's kind of one of those things maybe where like you keep your knife like hidden until like the very last moment. You know, it's more of kind of like an underhanded way of fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect
Yeah.
sense.
I don't think that Ronan normally uses this knife to fight with. But
Ooh,
because
okay.
he's on his back, he can't get to this key skit. Like he knows how to fight with this knife, but this is not
Yeah,
his
yeah.
weapon of choice necessarily. So,
Right. This is
don't think,
the back the fuck up
yeah,
weapon.
I don't think I have anything that'll add to that at the moment. So I think that we're just going with that.
Okay. So go ahead
That
and roll that
is
up.
one success, one pair.
Okay. One pair. And so a basic success, I guess it does 1 damage to the creature as well. Is how that works. Do you want to re-roll it or anything?
I think I'll not push my luck this time.
Okay. All right, so you are going to deal 1 stress to the battle-scarred rat. Okay. You lash out with your knife and cut some of the fur back from this mangy creature, cutting into its flesh just ever so slightly. Okay. Who is next?
I am going to use caution in academia,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to find something in my bag to try to tranquilize, I guess, as a
Oh, interesting.
veterinarian.
Okay, sure.
I have makeshift needles, so to speak, and I'm going to find some kind of medicine and attempt to jab
Jab it into
it
this guy.
with a tranquilizer of sorts.
Okay.
Can
Excellent.
I attempt something that might give Felina an advantage in this situation?
Sure.
Sure, yes.
Because what I was attempting to do is I would like to use War and Authority, which would give me a total of 6 dice to roll, to climb up on top of the carriage and, with the commanding voice of a military veteran, an officer, probably somebody who's used to being followed, try to distract and command this wild animal. One of the things under authority it says is, with your authority you can inspire, rekindle courage, intimidate others, extort information, and even tame both domestic and wild animals. Now, I'm not attempting to tame this rat, but while Felina is rummaging through her bag, I want to do this action to try to get it to focus and maybe give her a better chance at getting in there with this
Okay.
syringe.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get that roll.
So, okay, that's 6 dice down. Let's see, that's 2 2s and 2 4s.
So two pairs?
2 pair, two basic successes. I'm gonna re-roll these other 2. I can do that, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's 1 more 2, so that's a critical and a basic.
Excellent. Okay. So let us see.
As they clamber up on top of the carriage, probably up where the driver is. Listen here, you dirty rat! This is absolutely interrupting our plans, and I'll have none of it. And I begin just carrying on in this manner, trying to get this rat to just focus its attention toward me. While sort of with looking down at the side at Felina, go, go.
Excellent. Okay, so let's do this. You had a critical and a basic success. Okay, so the basic success, let's say, will give you a bonus die on your roll, Felinia. And
Awesome.
the critical, we are actually going to apply to the rat itself. So that is a critical, which would be 3 stress. So your booming voice causes this thing to recoil and certainly turn its attention towards you, almost as if maybe like this thing's hearing is agitated, infected maybe, and your voice causes it some amount of pain. However, instead of moving it from 1 stress to 4 stress, it does stop at 3 because this creature is huge, which means that it stops whenever it reaches one of its crucial boxes, which 3 is. And when it reaches its crucial box, it performs a move.
Uh-oh.
And the move it starts
Crap.
with is Tail Whip.
So I may have helped, but also hindered.
Possibly.
Ruh-roh. That's in line with my character, though. That makes
Not
sense.
wrong.
A quick swipe of his tail threatens to knock down the characters. Characters who fail to pass a critical reaction roll with grace plus war will fall. Fallen characters will have to use their actions to stand up. And until they do, they will suffer a -1 to all rolls. Man,
Yikes.
it's crazy.
I am very self-satisfied in having distracted this rat. And
Oh,
then,
no.
as it whips its tail around, uh-oh.
Did it knock you on your feet?
Does that
Off your
move
feet,
happen
rather?
right now?
I think so.
And
That's
is it
what it
against
seems
all
like.
of us?
It says the characters. Yeah, the way that the game handles it is it's kind of like you're all one unit.
So if
Kind
we've
of-
already
and I may
used
be
the
doing it
react-
wrong, but
So if we've already used the die, like this is the same round, so we can't use that bonus die.
yes,
for
yeah,
NPC again.
that is correct.
Question. Does it happen before or after Felina's move since we were acting in tandem?
That's a good question. You know what? I will go ahead and wait for him to do that until specifically because we were trying to chain those things together. We'll wait until we resolve Felinia's roll. It's a
Okay.
great call. So you have a
I have-
bonus die from Jake.
Correct. So I had 5 with my caution and academia, and then the bonus one is 6.
Okay, excellent. So roll those up and see how you.
I have 3 6s and 2 5s.
Okay, nice. So a critical and a basic.
Yes.
Okay. Are you good with letting those lie, or do you want
Absolutely.
to?
Yes.
Okay.
Those are great.
All right. So I think what you can do. So when you get an extra success, you can use it to take an extra action on your turn, or you can give a success to a friend, allowing them to succeed without rolling the dice. Wow. So you could You could give that to someone else to help them avoid the tail swipe
Okay.
if you wanted to.
Sure. Yeah. Who else? I mean, everyone will be affected by it. So, I don't know. I give it to Jake.
Okay. That makes sense. You know, he's the one that's kind of trying to distract this creature.
I'm
so
sorry,
that-
Dr. Meredith, I should have said.
yeah, no worries. So he's the one that's kind of like trying to distract this rat. And you come in and jab this thing right in the side, in the flank of this rat, and inject this serum into it. He is going to take 3 from that critical that you had. Puts him at a total of 6 so far. He immediately starts to like stumble around and get a little sluggish from this medicine that has been injected into him. He has not gone unconscious as of yet, however. So, this tail whip is going to come out. Jake, you don't have to roll. The secondary success from Felinia is going to allow you to avoid it. So, she jabbed this thing in the flank close enough to his tail that, you know, the portion of his tail that would have caught you is moving so slow that you can easily jump over it or move out of the way or what have you. However, the end of the tail is still whipping around with quite a bit of speed. So for the rest of you, the other 3 of you, what reaction are you using to get out of the way of this tail whip?
Are we choosing? I thought you had said one that we were doing.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
You said grace and war, right?
Yeah, grace and war. Sure enough.
Okay.
Oh, Raggy.
Got a basic success.
I had to remember my first one for my actions. But I also got a basic success for this. But can I re-roll for using my acrobat trait? Because using grace is kind of like being all acrobatic and trying to keep your balance.
I don't think in this case you can.
Okay.
Because it specifically has one listed. I don't know that you can swap them out unless you have like a class feature that says something like that.
I have
I
a
don't
trait.
think so.
I have a trait that's called acrobat, and it says,
Oh, that's
gain
not a
free
skill.
reroll
I'm so sorry.
when performing acrobatics or breaking a fall.
I see what you're saying. I'm sorry. I thought you were asking if you could substitute a different skill.
No.
Okay, now I'm on the same page. Yes, I definitely think that with it being grace, that acrobatics makes perfect sense. So you could absolutely get a free reroll.
I got a critical success on that. I got 3 ones.
Okay, good deal. Okay, so you will avoid this because it has to be, a critical reaction roll. Okay, so you'll avoid the tail slap altogether. Cassiani, you got a basic success. Did you want to reroll that?
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many dice did you have total?
4.
Okay. You'll hold those 2 back and then reroll 2.
Oh, and that's, yeah, so I failed that. So then I.
Okay.
It.
So a
So
terrible
I got-
failure.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I need to get out of this darn carriage. I tell
you are
ya.
going to take 3 more stress.
Yay. Have not yet hit that critical button.
Okay.
It's close.
Yeah, you get thrown to the floor where most people put their feet go. You get thrown hard into the floor, and hit your chin on the edge of the seat opposite from you. Kind of rattle your teeth together. Ronan, how did you do in this?
Fail.
Okay,
I
so you
didn't
will.
get any successes.
Okay, so you will also take 3 stress, as this tail, the very end of this tail, whips you like a bullwhip right across your cheek, and for a moment, the edges of your vision kind of go white, as it kind of rings your bell.
I think for a minute, Ronan's vision completely goes black. He doesn't pass out, but for a minute, because I think he's already very much almost tunnel vision on this rat, knowing what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this kind of just makes him completely black out for just a moment, which is kind of what makes him fall to the ground. Because I think you said it knocks us prone if you
Yes,
fail.
that is correct.
That's what puts him on the ground. And like when he starts to see again, and the light comes back to him, he's laying there on the ground. It's just a split second. It's not like he passed out, but he doesn't really even remember falling.
Okay, yeah. There's a time dilation issue. You're not sure exactly, like how much has passed. You wake up to everybody screaming, and they're just being like this absolute pandemonium all around you. Okay, so that was Felinia, Dr. Meredith, and Ronan have all gone for this round, as far as an action, I think. So, Cassiani, you also took an action, or was that just like a freebie?
That was just my free move. It doesn't count as an action.
Okay. So, both of the Victoria sisters still get to take their action.
Well, I rolled fight and war, which gave me 5 dice, and I got 3 of a kind with that.
Okay. Critical success. That'll put 3 additional stress onto the rat. Okay.
I was reading. That's why it took me so long.
Oh yeah, you're fine. No worries whatsoever. So Rosalind, as this rat is, whipping people around with its tail, is threatening to cause this carriage to topple over, has knocked Ronan to the ground. What does it look like as this attack kills this rat?
I think with all the chaos going on, I feel like Rosalind just kind of lives for chaos at this point in her life. So basically what's going to happen is the rat's going to jump up, it's going to knock Ronan over, it's making the carriage just jostle all over the place. I think what's going to happen is she's just going to, as the tail comes up, she's kind of pushing herself forward, and she just, needle in her hand with her palm kind of at the base of the hilt, she just shoves that in as far as she can into this thing's side, maybe hitting a vital organ or two. And
yeah, it this thing was already starting to slow down because of the quick thinking of Felinia's administration of this toxin, and you are able to take advantage of that, and come up and drive your needle deep enough to pierce this rat's heart, and it makes a final ear-piercing screech as it rears up and then collapses onto its side and moves no more.
ROUSs. I don't think they exist.
Perfect. Okay. So I think we're going to go ahead and call it there for the evening.
Do you mind if
No,
Ronan reacts to this? I'm
please.
assuming
Absolutely.
this is the creature I think it is, correct?
It is one and the same.
Ronan regains his composure, well, if you can call it that, as much as he needs to stand. And he stands and he swings this. He starts stumbling towards the body of this rat. You just hear like an unintelligible voice coming out of his mouth at first, and then as it gets louder and louder, you realize that he's just repeating no, no, no over and over again, and getting louder and louder and louder. And as he's approaching the body of this rat, he swings his heavy keysket around, and he just comes around and just starts just blasting shot after shot into the body of this rat. Just the whole time yelling no, 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 no. And then if that's where you want to end it, that's where we can end it.
Sounds good to me.
That's mean.
I don't want to end it.
I need to know. I need to know why.
And we'll find out, I'm sure.
Oh my god, are
Next month.
they gonna share
That's it.
sad stories later?
Yes.
Did you turn your body cam off before you did that, sir?
Oh my god. Wow.
Ouch.
Wow. Ahab, all hunters are bastards.
Oh my god. Wow.
Wow.
Awesome. This was fantastic, yo. I know combat was a little rough. Apologize for not knowing all of that, having it as nailed down as I probably should, but
No, it was good.
yeah, it was
great.
fun. Awesome. I'm glad that y'all had fun. I know I did. I'm gonna pass things back over to these fine 5 players so that they can give any parting shots that they want. Tell you once again what they might have going on, where you can find them, and then we're gonna call it an evening. So we'll start in reverse order with Sarah.
Nope. Thanks for having me, Jeremy. This was a lot of fun, and I can't wait to play the next act. So that was great.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sarah, for coming along and playing again.
Of course.
Yeah, this was the second act of this game, but you also played in the Scooby-Doo one-shot that we ran here on the channel. So
that was super fun.
which was also, yeah, it was a really fun game as well. So
The game was a blast.
yeah, it worked way better than I thought it was going to. A large part of that was because y'all played the gang from Scooby-Doo so well. And you did a great job tonight too, with Felinia.
Thank
was
you.
amazing thinking to call upon her veterinary skills to pull out a draft of tranquilizer. It was a great call.
I bet the
Nice.
real doctor.
You definitely
Oh,
impressed,
God,
you
yeah.
definitely impressed the real doctor.
Oh my god. Yeah, so very, very happy to have you on the channel again, Sarah.
Thanks, bub.
Yeah, absolutely. Love you.
Love you.
All right. Speaking of love and back, having back on the channel, Nathan.
It's a great session, Jeremy. As usual. I mean, I say that every time I finish a session with you, but I always mean it. Truly do. I said this about our Caldera game on Facebook whenever we started the campaign a day or two short of being 2 years or a year of the scatter shot being run on the channel.
Yeah, like a day after, or no, a day before, I think.
Gotcha. So just over a year since you ran a scatter shot on my Twitch channel for me and my Curse of Strahd group, which was my introduction to Caldera. I got to get in an actual campaign, great session. I'm enjoying the players already, but I kind of said, I started to say that, like, I feel like I'm like entering the world that we're playing in. But in reality, when Jeremy's intro starts and he starts describing the world, I feel like in my mind's eye, I can just see, like, almost see that world rising up out of the ground around me. And I can see just where we're at. I can picture this. I can see us out on the plains. I can see this rat coming out of the grass. And I mean, I truly mean that. I've played with a lot of DMs and a lot of people, and it's not to say that those DMs are bad, but it's a very special gift. I think you have, Jeremy, that helps that world be created around the player and in their mind's eye. And that's one of the reasons why I love to come back. Not to mention the fact that you always pick just a great cast of players that are really fun to interact with and play off of as well. I appreciate all of you, and thank you for having me, even though it's maybe a little quieter than normal. I'm glad I played tonight. Definitely needed it, and I've had a ton of fun.
Good, man. I'm hope that you aren't having any discomfort, and we'll call it here and let you get some sleep, some rest. Hopefully you can recover easily over the weekend. But yeah, man, I deeply appreciate that. This is what I love doing. I love playing. I love running games, especially with people who are not just great players, but also fun to spend time around, like all of you are. So the fact that I get to do this for fun is, well, it's a very special part of my life. So thank you all for being that way, and for making it so. But yeah, I like cinematic storytelling. It's always been a part of what draws me to this hobby in particular. So being able to run a game that successfully seems to paint that kind of a picture for you, that makes me thrilled to hear. So thank you very, very much. All right. Next, speaking of thrilled, Sarah.
Damn it. Hi everybody. You can find me on Acersin's Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Acersin, where I play every Sunday morning in Hijinks for All. You can find me on my own channel at twitch.tv/AliceXAnn, where I play I run Call of Cthulhu, and I also play a lot of Phasmo with 2 other mom friends. And we just get up to some awful shenanigans while we cry and scream because ghosts. Thank you very much for having me again tonight, Jamie. And Jamie, Jesus, I'm tired.
I'm used to it, honestly. That's my wife's name. So
nice. So thank you very much for having me, Jeremy. And I want to thank all of the other players. You all guys are awesome. And I am so thankful that I'm in a group with you guys. I absolutely love playing with you guys. This was an absolute roller coaster, and I have to agree with Nathan that when I get into games with you, I definitely know that I am literally going to see every inch of this world in my mind's eye. I'm going to see every inch of it, and you are such a fantastic storyteller, and I have no words. So thank you very much for having me, guys.
Thank you. I really genuinely do appreciate that. And if you don't have any words, that's fine, because I have too many often. But no, sincerely, again, that's a massive, massive compliment. And I sincerely appreciate that a lot. So yeah, speaking of appreciate a lot, next up is Karen.
Well, I'm glad you went with that and not speaking of too many words. We'll go.
Damn it.
I had a blast tonight. I never want these sessions to end. I just want to keep going because I just get so into them. I mean, it's the same thing. Like, the world becomes alive, and it's like I'm in the world the entire time, and it's just amazing. I don't have a lot of plug except that you need to come back on Sunday, like in 2 days, because we have banners, which is running, and I am super excited to get back into that and have all sorts of trauma things plucked and tweaked and used against me because it's going to be fun. Yeah, I'm fine.
5 years
5 years. I know, crazy.
that game has been running for 5 years. It's just insane. But it also an incredible collection of players and very, very deep characters with all kinds of trauma going on.
So much
but
trauma.
it's a lot of fun to watch that unfold. A lot of it is way out of my control. Again, like I think they're on the second bullet point for the overall campaign arc after 5 years of playing.
5 years. 5
So-
years. We hit number 2.
Yep. No worries. I'll have to have them chisel the end of the campaign into my tombstone so that way people have some resolution to the story. No, it's it's brilliant. I absolutely love it. Yeah. And speaking of brilliant, last but most certainly not least, my brother from another mother, Jake.
Speaking of 5 years, I have been DMing for Jeremy for just over 5 years, actually. Starting with not one shots not included, but starting with the long running Dawnbringers, and now with we're up to 20. We just wrapped our 25th session of Kids on Bikes. Plus, I have played under Jeremy for a combined something like 3 years with different campaigns, and we had that incredible Momentum Whispers and Fragments campaign that went on for I think 2.5 years.
Yeah,
And
I think so.
I will echo what everybody else has said. Anytime I go back in my mind and remember scenes or arcs or anything from any game that I've played in that you've run, I see the imagery of the worlds that you have created. So yeah, it's definitely a gift that you have, Jeremy, to paint these pictures with words that allow us to so freely sink into these worlds and play around. And I also want to shout out to everybody else here at the table, because because of a non-emergency family situation, I had to miss our first session the night of, like a couple hours before the game. I had to tell Jeremy I had to bow out. So thank you all for allowing me to come in on this second session and just sort of slip in, especially playing kind of a snobby upper crust character that immediately starts off insulting you, Sarah, or your character. But no, I had a lot of fun kind of slipping into this world, and it's an interesting system, an excellent balance, not only in the system, but in the way you ran it, Jeremy, between the first half of all narrative role play and the second half getting into mechanical / narrative combat. And yeah, we're all learning it, but I think the pacing kept going really well. And I'm looking forward to see what we do in our last session. If you want to see more of Jeremy's amazing stuff, I'm not going to plug my channel. I'm going to tell you to go to Drive Through RPG and look up Erasmus Expeditions in the Expedition engine, because Jeremy has some amazing one-page RPGs that allow you to delve into the action right away with very little prep, and run anything from pirates to pulp action to zombies to high-octane Mad Max Fury Road type stuff. So do yourself a favor and go check that out.
Thank you, Jake. I appreciate that, man, very much. Yeah, thank all of you very, very much for the very kind words. I don't really know what to say about it, but it means a lot to me that that this stupid little hobby that I have can be enjoyed by a group of people, that we can sit around a virtual camera and do this for an evening. So I'm absolutely thrilled that I can call all of you friends and have you at my table. So thank you very much. I love all of you. Speaking of love, if you tuned in this evening and you watched along with us, or you watched at some point down the road in the future, thank you very, very much. I am over the moon at the fact that I can post these games on the internet, and there are people that engage with them and find them entertaining and maybe even educational. You know, a system that we don't know so well, maybe us stumbling through it helps you to learn how to play it, which makes me giddy to think that I could possibly be helping people learn how to do this geeky hobby. So yeah, if you enjoyed what you watched this evening, then do all the things that the YouTube algorithm likes. Hit the like button, subscribe, share the link around with your friends on social media and things of that nature. Talk it up. It's how this channel continues to grow, and how I have the opportunity to continue to find wonderful people to game with and to keep putting out videos like this. So yeah, just remember the same thing I say at the end of all of my games, and that is kindness is a free action. It costs you absolutely nothing to be nice to people, and it could make the difference in somebody else's day, week even. So if it costs you nothing and it could mean everything to someone else, then why not just be nice? The world needs more kindness in it right now. So go out there, be kind. And until next time, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.